It's Wednesday night here at King George's Field, and we're here with K's director Mark Anderson for a bit of a catch-up. It's probably been, Mark, I think the last time you were on camera was when you were crying after Macclesfield.
Nice of you to remind me of that.
Well, I think we were all a bit emotional.
You forgot the Players' Awards.
Oh no, that's true.
And your 35 minutes of your presentation, which 35 minutes of my life we won't get back.
I blame the current cameraman, Tamer. Mark, that feels like a lot more than 2 years ago. We've had 18 months of a pandemic since then. I guess we've heard a lot from Hayden on the kind of footballing side of what that's been like for the club. But from your side, what have the last 18 months been like for Kingstonian?
Well, the irony is that in terms of the football side of things, we've been fairly consistent because we do things right here. All the players were able to put on furlough. And we've kept, as you can see, we've kept most of the squad and the players that we wanted to keep. So football-wise, we've been okay.
And non-football-wise?
And non-football-wise, if you're alluding to what I think you're alluding to, then you will know in the 5 years that we haven't. Since we left Kings Meadow, we've been having this nomadic existence. We've been down the garden path, the long and winding road, Beatles, 3 times now, and 3 times, unfortunately, those paths have finished in dead ends. The first one being Chessington Golf Centre, which remains, a disused space, an unused space, but owned by a property developer. Nothing has happened there. Secondly, our potential collaboration, not amalgamation, collaboration with the casuals, which we realised after 6 months, and it's very hard for people, non-football people, to understand the tribal nature of football. But the reality is that I think it became clear to both sets of directors that there couldn't be an accommodation whereby we shared this facility and developed this facility, and I think that's water under the bridge now. Then thirdly, we located a piece of land also in the borough. We'd met with the current lease holders. They lease it from the council. They had quite a lot of land that they didn't need. They rode towards us, very, very clearly towards us, and wanted us to get involved with that space. We thought we had it. And then COVID happened, and they've spent 1.5 years rowing away from us. Firstly, they wanted a huge fee for enabling us to tear up the existing lease and then dividing it into 2. And then ultimately, about 6 weeks ago, they've come to us and said, actually, we want to use it ourselves. We've got some plans and we're going to develop it ourselves. So at the moment, that's dead and buried as well. However, COVID has been so difficult to deal with, both personally and generally speaking, in terms of how local government works. For example, we went back to the council. We were getting nowhere really, and then we managed to get a meeting with Councillor John Sweeney, who is the elected councillor responsible for business and leisure, so it was the right person to speak to. Through a meeting with him and then another meeting, we've located another piece of land that the council have at the moment, which they say is available, and we are looking to try and move forward with that. So we're pretty... Am I optimistic? Jesus. I used to be optimistic. I was a very fresh-faced 57-year-old. I'm now a very depressed 59-year-old. But I have to say there is possibility here, and I am optimistic again about it. While I'm here, I need to say to anyone listening to this or watching this who has a lease from Kingston Council or has a lease and doesn't need all of the land, then we would be very interested in hearing from them if they felt that they had something that could be of interest to us. I think it's important that that message is put out there. But at the same time, we're moving forward on this idea now, this latest scheme. it would be excellent if it happens, but I'm a realist, and I've been round the block enough times now, more than one of my coaches, to say that you know what, it will be what it will be. I've been involved with this football club now for 16 years, and apart from the odd oasis of excellence when we got promoted, won the cup, and the weekend in Macclesfield, most of it is hard grind and hard graft, and we have to accept that, you know. And really, none of the board, we want it all to happen. We're all very, very committed to it, having it happen, let's hope that we are now on the way to get something.
Obviously, you can't go into details about that, a bit of land, but I guess what does the road look like from here? What are the big steps towards that? What might possible timelines be? And I guess when could we expect to maybe hear an indication of even what kind of area that might be in?
Okay. I think everyone has to understand now that we are a borough club and not a town club, and I know that was always a little bit of a bone of contention for some, but the reality is land values and land prices anywhere near Kingston town is just very prohibitive. So if you look at the borough, it gives you more of an option, more of an opportunity. We also now, have to think of our youth setup with what's happened with the youth system and Colliers Wood United and Stephen Druitt forming a relationship, which they're quite entitled to do. We need to find somewhere that puts everything together, both on and off the field. You know, I've made it very clear now to the council in particular, but people need to understand that a nomadic existence for a football club is no good. It will end in disaster, because we have to have a second and third revenue stream at least to be able to keep going.
And so what does that mean for the next 18 months to 2 years? What does that timeline look like in terms of this, and what does it mean in terms of our existence here or in another location short term?
The piece of land identified is currently vacant, we believe. Our meeting last week with the council, they've gone away now to just verify that fact and to look at any possible pitfalls in all of this. And we are hopeful that we can move forward pretty quickly. They have been told in no uncertain terms of our need, and thus far have been responsive to that now. They weren't at the beginning, I have to say. It's taken some time, and Councillor Sweeney has done a great job for us so far. He's the Lib Dem councillor for Berrylands and has the responsibility at the council for business and leisure, so ticks a lot of boxes for us. Very, very helpful so far. So let's hope we can move forward quickly with this.
And in terms of our kind of stay here, are we here until we're somewhere permanent, or what does that look like?
That looks difficult, I have to say. I think the mood music around the place has been, and a number of supporters have already told me that the Corinthian Casuals probably don't want to renew our lease. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I've spoken to them at senior level, and we are talking. But the reality is that we have to see if a deal can be done. We also have to look, and it's been a bad week on the field, but you have to understand that there is an outside chance that we could be promoted, in which case we need more seats, we need more, and we built those seats over there, or put those seats in.
Great camera work.
Very good, Tim. We put those seats in, and the reality is, I don't want to really put any more in, if I can, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah.
And they will understand that. So we are looking at alternatives and options. But we'd like to stay here for another season. But let's be clear. there isn't a lot of bonhomie around.
You meant. Yeah, thanks, Tony. You mentioned that the last couple of years have been a series of false dawns and rumours and hopes. I mean, I guess 4.5 years in that sense. I guess it feels like you're saying the search for this has been maybe harder than you expected. And at what point? Well, A, is it true? Is it harder than you expected? And B, at what point do you start having to think about compromise? Be it around long-term ground share, be it around the athletic track, for example, somewhere that we couldn't do maybe everything that we thought we could do. But yeah, do those compromises start to come into play the longer this search takes? Is it?
To a degree, yes, you're right. But also, I have to say that we've been pretty focused on what we actually need from day one. And you have to understand here, and this is something that the borough of Kingston, if it was, there was a national report last year on all local councils. To use a football analogy, Kingston Council came in somewhere like Burnley or Norwich in terms of what facilities they're short of and they should be providing. So I went to the council and said, and this was a long time ago, I said, we've got the finance already. We think we can get the additional funding through grants. We're ready to go. We want to be part of your solution to this. And I think after a year, the penny has finally dropped, and I think they're saying, "Ooh, this might be helpful." So, we're not asking for money. All we're asking for is a bit of vacant land. It's not difficult.
And I guess one of the things that maybe I'm most I'm sure there have been lots going on behind the scenes, but you're talking about actually, while there is this one thing you're focusing on at the moment, the eyes are constantly open for numerous options so that our eggs aren't all in one basket, and when that road's shut, we're back to square one.
Absolutely. We've taken a view now that we'll look at any opportunity that arises rather than just concentrating on a single thing. So hence the plea before, if anyone has something and they think they'd like to accommodate a very nice football team, then we'll certainly talk to them.
But something like the athletics ground still isn't.
Well, you keep talking about the athletics ground.
I get asked about it, so if I don't ask you, I'll get in trouble.
I think there are some very clear plans for that piece of land, and it doesn't involve Kingstonian Football Club, I'm afraid. There's talk of schools, there's talk of this, there's talk of that, and that. That athletics track is not something at the moment that we can suggest as a valid venue.
I think that level of that being definitive on that is probably helpful. So thanks for that. Mark, thanks for your time. Thanks for the board for all they're trying to do. What would be, we talked to Hayden a lot about what's happening on the pitch, but for you as a director, what would be the thing you would want to leave the fans with as we draw this to a close?
Well, don't give up hope. Don't give up the fight. We are doing everything we can. I've given you a potted history of what's gone on, but every time you're dealing with these institutions, whether it be someone that's thinking about giving their lease up or the council itself, you have the meeting, they go away. It's not like it can be done in an afternoon. It takes time. If you look at our opponents tonight, Horsham, they were homeless for about 10 years, I think, before they managed to build what is a fantastic facility. We were down there the other week, weren't we? So don't give up hope. With everything with Kingstonian is always hard work. It's just the nature of this football club, and I really believe that we will get something. And don't forget, we're not asking for money. The money is there to develop the ground.
Great. Well, thanks, Mark, and hopefully more news at some point in the future.
Very much so. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.